This is the Baker Township Volunteer Fire Station. Right now, there is no one inside ready to fight a fire. This is one of the cells where prison staff would isolate a prisoner, but the door doesn't even close. And if it did, the lock still doesn't work. It's kind of hard to prepare for a snowshoeing competition without any snow. 5 entrepreneurs in Southeast Kansas launch a startup with the help of local business. A local artist is turning a storm drain into a catfish to hopefully keep people from throwing their trash inside. A table is set for the brothers who never returned home from war as the Carthage VFW remembers the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. When testers take a sample and put it inside the machine, it's not the machine itself which is the new technology. It's the nanotechnology inside which is allowing for a faster and more accurate sample. The supermarket believes it can get the jump on other stores through the area while saving customers the trip through the aisle. And there's plans to even expand the service. So if you have all your paper and aluminum sorted, but you're wondering what kind of plastic is acceptable, somewhere on the item should be a recycling symbol with the number 1 through 7. As long as that number's not a 6, you should be good to go.
In an incident.
The idea being, give people this experience when it's not life-threatening. When there's a threat of severe weather, the National Weather Service, storm chasers, even our own meteorologists are in constant contact. I'm Tim Spears. I'll give you a look in just a bit. I'm out at the visitors entrance where Webb City fans have been setting out chairs since 6:30 to wait in line. Jerry Reynolds here at the front of the line. He's been here since 8:30. He didn't graduate from Webb, but his kids did. The only election on the Kansas statewide ballot other than the presidential election and the U.S. Senate race is for the Kansas Supreme Court and Kansas Court of Appeals. The nonprofit assists law enforcement in cases of child abuse and neglect, but a steady rise in reported cases over the past 3 years has the CAC in need of additional funding. Jacob Gower faces risks at work every day.
It's a whole different world. I mean, you can't describe it as somebody who's never done it.
Gower is responsible for booking, feeding, and monitoring the inmates of the Ottawa County Jail, where the prison staff's safety isn't helped by the current state of facilities.
The current state of the jail is pretty poor.
Jesse Cruson only recently took charge as jail administrator. He says he's still assessing all of the prison's needs, including additional space for inmates, ability to isolate inmates, along with leaking plumbing, leaking roofs, and updating equipment.
My staff has told me that even when they built the jail, some of the things they put in it, they were told was already out of date when they did it.
And that was 20 years ago. Statewide, the Oklahoma Department of Corrections director is requesting $1.65 billion to address neglect in Oklahoma jails, but that would only go to state and federal jails, not county jails like this. 20 years of wear and tear is made worse by overpopulation. The jail is built to hold 124 inmates. Right now, it's housing 146.
With overcapacity with inmates, it plays a big role on the stress of this building.
Especially when the cells holding inmates are missing doors or the lock on the door doesn't lock. This is one of the cells where prison staff would isolate a prisoner, but the door doesn't even close. And if it did, the lock still doesn't work.
And unfortunately, from what I've been told, the locks that we have on our cells are obsolete. So finding parts and finding new locks to replace that might be a problem.
The sheriff says there's about a dozen cells with broken locks, limiting staff's ability to control the population.
If we have multiple people who need to be isolated, we don't have anywhere to put them.
Increasing risks in a facility, becoming ill-equipped to handle them. In Miami, Tim Spears, KOAM News. It's not your typical canvas.
Every time I come out to paint, I've got to brush off all the cigarette butts all around it.
Or source of inspiration.
The drain suggested a big mouth.
It's a storm drain and Mick Lindsay's newest art piece.
Sounds a little hokey, but sometimes you've got to let the work tell you where to go next.
If successful, folks walking by will think about the trash they leave and where it ends up.
It's going to have a message on it asking people, not to throw trash in the storm drain because what the fish eats winds up in what we drink.
The painting was supposed to be much smaller. Now it's expanded to more than 10 feet, wrapping around the T.J. Leland's building.
Actually, painting on this scale is pretty good exercise as well.
It's continues to grow, so yeah, it's well over keeper size if you're actually out fishing.
The Downtown District Board is commissioning the project with help.
The Economic Development Council provides the Downtown District with some funding every year to kind of support projects like this.
This storm drain in front of T.J. Leland's on 6th Street flows into Cow Creek. And the art will hopefully remind people before leaving trash or garbage around that it's actually going somewhere.
Just kind of a reminder that, debris and cigarette butts, trash, we need to do our best to keep those from going into the storm drains.
The project started in October. Lindsay says the first painting is nearly complete and hopes it's the first of many.
We've got clearance to do them from 11th Street to Euclid, one block either side of Broadway, wherever the property owners want one. So it could be quite a lot of them.
Simply more art, less trash. In Pittsburgh, Tim Spears, KOAM News. Shauna Germaniani knew the exact car she would buy.
I'm a dental hygienist and I like teeth and I like white things, so I got a white car.
She's waited till after Christmas to buy it.
It looks like a molar.
Johnny Murray is selling it to her.
Why wouldn't you buy a car during, Christmas season, beginning of, a new year, or ending a good year and beginning a new one? Why wouldn't you buy a car for December? Who wouldn't?
Aside from the unsubtle sales pitch, there are legitimate reasons to buy after the biggest shopping holiday of the year.
Dealers, of course, are trying to hit end-of-year numbers. So if they're short on some numbers, particularly for the month or for the year, they're more motivated to make some more deals.
Salesmen like Murray are trying to meet their goals, also trying to earn what's called a volume bonus incentive.
Every salesman, every dealer really at the end of the month is looking for that final push to get those numbers, because when the month ends, we erase the board and it all goes back to zero.
That board being the tally for car sales.
So this particular guy said he wanted to sell 20. Right now he's at 9.5.
According to TrueCar.com, right now dealers are clearing excess inventory to earn bonuses and avoid paying taxes on unsold vehicles.
But at the end of the year, it's all about crunch time.
Sales consultant Josh Stifler says the end of the year is also just a busier time for dealers, so manufacturers gear sales around the season.
Rebates or incentive money that goes in to help get some of these deals done that weren't done earlier.
Which means a new car for Germaniani and more sales pitches from this guy.
If you didn't buy a car from anybody.
In Joplin, Tim Spears, KOAM News.